Good Thursday morning, and thank you for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Jason Hackett. Let's get to your headlines. Breaking news this morning, National Security Advisor Mike Waltz and his deputy Alex Wong will be leaving their posts in the Trump White House, according to multiple sources familiar with their departure. They're expected to leave on Thursday, according to those sources. Waltz has been under scrutiny since March after it was revealed he put together a Signal group chat that included The Atlantic's editor Jeffrey Goldberg. In that chat, which was not secure, there were discussions with top national security officials about a U.S. strike in Yemen. It's not immediately clear who will take Waltz's spot. Right now, police are investigating another homicide from a third deadly shooting in the last 24 hours. This marks 5 different shootings since late Tuesday night. We confirmed this with police overnight. The latest deadly shooting happening near East Lake Street and 15th Avenue South around 8 last night. The other 2 deadly shootings just hours before that, and all of them a few miles apart. Michelle Beck is at police headquarters with a closer look at the violence and reaction from police and city leadership.
Minneapolis police are now investigating yet another homicide. Just before midnight, they told us a man died at the hospital after being shot. Including this latest incident, we know 5 people have died to gun violence in Minneapolis in 24 hours. This startling wave began when 3 people were shot and killed in what police called a targeted attack. 2 others were hurt, and right now I'm waiting for an update on whether their lives are still at risk, as police first said. Meanwhile, yesterday afternoon, just blocks away from the original scene, possible gang retaliation. Police say a man was shot and killed, and yet it was possible even more people, kids, could have died.
This is outrageous. It's absolutely senseless. And it just shows how completely reckless this is. That this is broad daylight out here with a toddler and an infant in a car seat nearly getting hit by a bullet. It's outrageous. Enough.
A big question for us right now is whether this latest overnight homicide is linked at all to the 2 other ones just before this, all in the same area. The police chief tells us to expect more police presence there. Right now, we don't know of anybody in custody regarding all 3 deadly incidents. In Minneapolis, I'm Michelle Beck with KARE 11 News.
So right now, no one is in custody for either shooting. Chief O'Hara also says there will be an increased police presence in the area. This violence shaking the neighborhood, especially the local Native community. Raya Katene heard from leaders and a witness.
In a South Minneapolis neighborhood with deep Native American roots.
Just unbelievable what we're going through.
Heavy hearts are carrying immeasurable pain.
All I know is that my people are dying and it's got to stop. It hurts and I don't know what to do to help.
Too shaken up to be on camera, a woman who lives in this building says she watched from her apartment window as her cousin attempted CPR on a man shot in broad daylight.
I live on the top floor and I came downstairs and myself and another woman grabbed my cousin to get her to stop because he was gone. She didn't know him. She was just trying to save his life, and she's not okay. She's not okay. This is not okay.
Minneapolis police say the man in his 30s was killed just 12 hours after 3 others were shot and killed, and 2 others were injured just blocks away.
I honestly believe that we are in the beginnings of a gang war here in Minneapolis, South Side.
Mike Forsha is the chairman of the American Indian Movement. These killings, he says, are the result of a community that has been neglected by people in power for generations.
We need the resources. We need those dollars spent in our community so we can make that change. But we're just getting the crumbs.
If you are not at the table, helping to advise policy, helping to make decisions, hearing it from the bottom up, that you're on the menu. And unfortunately, what we saw today is what it means to be on the menu.
Joe is a part of the Many Shields Warrior Society.
It's better than not trying at all.
A group of Native men dedicated to protecting their neighborhoods by patrolling them and helping in any way they're needed.
Play a more active role in whether it be your own kids' lives or just that neighborhood kid who never really has anybody looking out for him.
Looking out for one another as the neighborhood in grief copes with so much pain.
My heart hurts for our people.
New developments this morning from a shooting in North Minneapolis on Girard Avenue. Police tell us they found a man and a woman shot inside of a home there yesterday around 4 following a fight. As of this morning, police have not made any arrests. Police are also investigating a shooting in the South Uptown area off of Harriet Avenue. They tell us one man was shot. Right now, we don't know if any of these shootings are related. Let's get a closer look at the numbers from the MPD crime dashboard. So far this year, there's been 11 homicides in Minneapolis. 9 were intentional. That number is down 52% from this time last year. 7 of the homicides happened in the 3rd and 4th precinct, which covers North Minneapolis and a part of South Minneapolis. Looking at the numbers compared to a year ago this time, in the 3rd precinct, homicides are down 30%. In the 4th precinct, homicides are down 70%. Citywide, gunshot wound victims are also down. We'll, of course, be following this story all day long. Make sure you stay with KARE 11 and KARE 11 Plus for the latest details. New this morning, Minneapolis police are now encrypting their police scanners. Leadership say they want to protect private data and ensure officer safety. The St. Paul Police Department recently announced they will also encrypt their police scanners. That's set to happen this fall. Well, just in this morning, General Motors CEO says tariffs will cost the company up to $5 billion this year. The estimates were shared in a letter to shareholders released this morning. That letter delayed 2 days after GM reported lower first quarter earnings and waited for tariff changes from the Trump administration. GM, the nation's largest automaker, is the first major company to estimate in dollars how much Trump's sweeping tariffs will cost it. GM CEO says they are rolling with the changes.
I think we've had many conversations, and I share the president's goal to have a strong manufacturing base in this country, to increase manufacturing jobs in this country. And I think it's important from an economic security perspective as well as a national security perspective, and to give us a level playing field. Because I can't speak to the broad industry, but when we look at the auto industry, it's been decades of not having a level playing field around the world. So we're working with a footprint that's been in position for, in some cases 20, 30 years. But we are making a commitment that we are going to bring more production back to this country to build on what we already have.
Now, levies are already in place on most imported cars, and Saturday, tariffs will begin on many imported parts used to build cars at U.S. factories. With data showing the U.S. GDP is shrinking, President Trump is asking the nation to be patient and blame President Biden for the economy 100 days into his term. Democrats are seizing on the news, saying the president has failed to make life more affordable. NBC's Alice Barr has the very latest from Washington.
Hi there. We're looking at concrete data now, raising new concerns about the U.S. economy, with many economists blaming the uncertainty surrounding President Trump's tariff policies as he points the finger at his predecessor.
It's going to be about 40%.
Under pressure from some troubling economic news, a Commerce Department report showing the U.S. economy shrank slightly during the first 3 months of the year. President Trump shifting blame.
That's Biden. That's not Trump, because we came in on January. This is quarterly numbers.
It was a quarter during which President Trump was in office for all but 20 days, and when economists say businesses rushed to buy imports before tariffs kicked in, dragging down U.S. production. Surveys also showing consumer confidence down.
Taking a hit in what Americans expect in the next 6 months. We're talking business conditions, employment prospects, and future income as well.
In some of her most high-profile comments since her election loss, former Vice President Kamala Harris saying President Trump owns this economy and his policy moves.
Tariffs that, as I predicted, are clearly inviting a recession.
The president acknowledging his triple-digit tariffs on China could cause shortages of some goods and higher prices.
Maybe the children will have $2 instead of $30, And maybe the $2 will cost a couple of bucks more than they would normally.
While insisting the payoff will be worth it, pointing to new investments in U.S. manufacturing.
They're really coming in fast.
Overnight, an effort to roll back President Trump's tariffs failed.
Motion to table is agreed to.
In the Senate, though it did have some bipartisan support. The president urging increasingly anxious Americans to be patient as he works to reshape global trade. President Trump also spoke overnight about his administration finally signing that long-anticipated deal to gain access to some of Ukraine's critical minerals and natural resources, saying the U.S. presence in Ukraine could curb Russian President Vladimir Putin while repaying U.S. military aid. In Washington, I'm Alice Barr. Back to you.
Well, back here at home, let's turn to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who just advanced to the Western Conference semifinals after taking down the Los Angeles Lakers in Game 5. They're heading to the second round for the second year in a row. It's a first for the franchise. Up next is the winner between Golden State and the Houston Rockets. And then in a matter of hours, it's the Wild's turn. They're taking to the ice tonight at the X in Game 6 against the Vegas Golden Knights. It's a must-win game to keep their season going. Audrey's at the X with a look ahead to a game that you don't want to miss.
The stage is set for a do-or-die Game 6 for the Wild here at the X. If they lose against the Vegas Golden Knights tonight, that's it. Season's over. Better luck next year. But if they win, they'll have another chance to possibly advance out of round 1 and inch ever closer to that Stanley Cup. Right now, the Knights have a slight edge in this best-of-7 series, 3-2. So when the puck drops here at 6:30, the home ice advantage could make all the difference. No one knows this better than the Wild. Checking their X account, they posted right at the stroke of midnight, "Happy Game Day," and of course they instructed everybody to read it in a whisper because it was early. Now, tickets are still available if you're heading downtown. Be prepared to wait for parking as it is going to be busy around the X. Now, there's going to be a pre-game party starting at 5 o'clock tonight. That's going to be right inside of Gate 4. There's also a special playoffs light show, and of course everybody's going to get a rally towel with a new design. Back to you.
All right, go Wild. Let's take that game tonight and push it to a Game 7. Make sure you stick with us. More news and weather coming up after the break.